If we were to map out the great cheese kingdoms of the world, Parmigiano Reggiano from Italy, with its meticulous craft and deep, rounded flavor, would rightfully be crowned the king of cheese. Cheddar, born in the English countryside, commanding a near monopoly inside every fast food burger on the planet, could be called the champion of cheese. And Roquefort, drawn from the limestone caves of France, ripened by blue mold, stretched to the very limit between rot and rapture, the kind of thing people either die for or run screaming from, that would be the demon of cheese. But then there is paneer, originating from India, the single most important source of protein for hundreds of millions of devout vegetarians. A cheese that hides entirely outside the factory system, sustaining itself through nothing but home kitchens and small workshops, and yet somehow producing 2 million tons a year. Paneer, you could say, is the ghost of cheese, present everywhere, credited nowhere. Its origins are, frankly, contested. The most mainstream view holds that it carries strong Persian cultural fingerprints, blending Western dairy techniques with local Indian tradition before taking its final definitive form in the royal courts of northern India. But the reason paneer survived and thrived inside India's most unforgiving religious landscape comes down to one radical difference in how it's made. Western cheeses, however varied, all share the same basic logic. Animal-derived rennet is used to act on the milk fat, which then ferments over a long period. This process of breaking down pure white milk and reconstituting it is simply not something India's religious traditions could accept. Paneer follows an entirely different philosophy. Heat the milk. Add lemon juice or vinegar as a curdling agent. Watch the solids separate from the liquid. Filter through a cloth. Press out the remaining moisture. This rough, almost primitive technique may look unsophisticated, but it satisfied the spiritual requirements of even the most demanding religious codes. Paneer could be placed on a sacred altar as an offering, and because it undergoes no long fermentation and no complex processing, its nutritional profile is actually superior to most Western cheeses. Over 20 grams of protein per 100 grams. It is, in no small part, the reason 400 million vegetarians in India are doing just fine. There is one more extraordinary quality that this physical, enzyme-free method gives paneer. It does not melt. You can pan-fry it, stir-fry it, deep-fry it, braise it. It holds its shape through everything, moving through Indian cooking the way tofu moves through Chinese cooking, as a canvas for whatever surrounds it. Of all the dishes that paneer has inspired, none is more celebrated than paneer makhani, cubes of paneer folded into a sauce of tomatoes, cream, butter, dried fruits, and layered spices. In almost every Indian restaurant on earth, it is the default companion to naan bread, and has been for decades. Then there is palak paneer, fresh spinach blitzed into a vivid green puree, deepened with ginger, garlic, green chili, and a full palette of spices, with paneer gently simmered inside. At high-end weddings across northern India, this dish carries roughly the same social weight as a prime cut of steak at a Michelin-starred Western restaurant. For something with genuine historical prestige, there is Shahi Paneer, a recipe from the Mughal court, predating the arrival of New World tomatoes entirely. The base is yogurt, cream, onion, and cashew, perfumed with saffron and cardamom. And for everyday cooking, there is Matar Paneer, paneer with tender green peas, braised in a masala that is lighter and brothier than its richer cousins, making it the natural partner to rice rather than bread. Paneer is not, strictly speaking, indigenous to India, but it adapted to Indian society and Indian belief so completely, so seamlessly, fitting inside Hindu lacto-vegetarianism, Jain dietary codes, religious fasting, and home cooking all at once, that it became, in every way that matters, entirely Indian. Now, a complete change of scene. In the early 1960s, a McDonald's franchise owner named Lou Groen, running a location in Cincinnati, Ohio, noticed something strange. Every Friday, without fail, his sales fell off a cliff. After investigating, he found that over a third of his neighborhood were devout Catholics, many of whom still faithfully observed the ancient tradition of abstaining from meat on Fridays. And right next door, a rival chain called Big Boy was selling a fish sandwich every Friday like it couldn't be made fast enough. Groen brought a proposal to McDonald's president Ray Kroc. "We need a fish burger." Kroc refused. He didn't want his kitchen smelling of fish. Instead, Kroc designed his own solution. 2 buns, 1 slice of cheese, and 1 large ring of canned pineapple. He called it the Hula Burger, convinced it would capture the Friday crowd and ride the rising wave of vegetarian interest simultaneously. Groen was not impressed. "Sir, that is not a solution. That is a mistake." So they made a bet. On Good Friday 1962, both men would launch their respective products at their own locations. Whoever sold more, won. The Hula Burger sold 6. The fish sandwich sold 350. Kroc was embarrassed. But he was a businessman first. The filet-o-fish was added to the menu at 29 cents, becoming McDonald's first genuine new product since the chain's founding. It went on to become the single most popular fast food item across the entire Western Lenten season. Though it has never received any official religious endorsement, it remains, at its core, a piece of modern commercial machinery quietly adapting itself to an ancient religious contract. One footnote worth adding: the original filet-o-fish used expensive halibut. This was later changed to haddock, and is now made primarily with Alaskan pollock. Despite the repeated ingredient changes, it reportedly still costs slightly more to produce than a standard burger. Legend has it, this is why the filet-o-fish comes with only half a slice of cheese. Across Europe, religious dietary calendars gave rise to entire families of foods, breads and pastries that looked innocent enough on the outside, but carried centuries of faith inside their dough. Of all of them, none proved more durable, more widely traveled, or more likely to appear on a modern European breakfast table than the pretzel. Unlike the filet-o-fish, engineered by an American businessman for profit, the pretzel's origin story is genuinely, properly religious. Somewhere in the south of France, in the early 7th century, a monk had leftover dough from his kitchen. To encourage children to memorize their prayers, he rolled it into long strips, folded each one into the shape of 2 arms crossed in prayer, and baked them using nothing but salt, water, and flour, no eggs, no butter, no milk, in strict keeping with the Lenten rules. He drew the name from the Latin brachiae, meaning little arms, or little reward. These small baked things were given as prizes to children who could recite their scripture. By the 12th century, German bakers had carried the pretzel out of the monastery entirely. It became a symbol of prosperity and good fortune, appearing at weddings and celebrations across the German-speaking world. And it was the Germans who made the crucial discovery. If you submerge the raw dough in a lye solution before baking, the Maillard reaction accelerates dramatically. The crust turns a deep, glossy chestnut brown in a fraction of the normal time. But this wasn't merely cosmetic. That alkaline bath gave the bread something extraordinary. A subtle, mineral bitterness on the finish, a flavor that sat somewhere between wood smoke and roasted malt, something you couldn't quite name but couldn't stop eating. The pretzel had a new identity. Laugenbrot, the lye bread. The alkaline bread. The bread that tasted like no other bread. Jewish communities in Poland, China, and elsewhere, known for their disciplined, intricate approach to food, looked at this austere, beautiful bread and saw something they could build on. What emerged was the bagel, denser in texture, punched through the center, scattered with salt, sesame, or poppy seeds on top. The same philosophical DNA as the pretzel, simple, honest, no excess, but shaped into something new. By the late 19th century, waves of Eastern European Jewish immigrants were arriving in New York City, and they brought the bagel with them. A subset of these bakers formed an organization called Bagel Bakers Local 338, which, depending on how generously you read history, functioned somewhere between a trade union and an outright organized crime syndicate. For decades, they controlled the price, supply, and production of every bagel in New York with an iron grip. That grip held until the 1960s, when a Canadian-born American named Daniel Thompson invented an automated bagel-making machine. Almost overnight, the bagel escaped. From an expensive, handcrafted product controlled by a shadowy baker's cartel, it became a cheap, mass-produced breakfast item available in every supermarket across America. From a French monk's leftover dough in the 7th century to the shelves of a Walmart in Ohio. That is the journey of bread when faith gets involved. If this episode changed how you see the past, hit like and subscribe. Food Tales drops a new story every week, and the next one is already cooking.